Good day, everyone. My name is Vicelyn Jahn Pael. I am your reporter for today. Before I start, allow me to read to you our objective for today. Differentiate adolescent language to adult language. Before we officially start, I want you to observe and listen to the video that I'm going to show to you.
Being a teen can be an amazing time of discovery, learning, and friendship, but it's also a time of rapid change and emotional highs and lows where things can feel really tough. So, what's going on in our brains and bodies that make us feel this way? Why is being a teen so hard? We're often told that the most important years of brain development are between 0 and 5 years old, although recent research has found adolescent development to be equally important. During childhood, our brains continually grow, generating gray matter until they reach their maximum size, which for girls is around age 12 and boys around age 14. But even after this, the brain works to become more efficient by cutting away unused gray matter that isn't exercised by experience, and at the same time increasing myelin, which is fatty tissue that insulates brain pathways. Puberty begins in the hypothalamus, where a protein called kisspeptin is produced, triggering the pituitary gland to unleash the hormones testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. These activate the ovaries and testes, but also cause you to seek emotionally charged experiences, whether it's a movie to make you sob or driving 180 kilometers per hour down the freeway. It causes your response to emotionally loaded images or sounds to be more intense, which is why listening to One Direction may produce large bouts of the feels. The area of the brain responsible for planning ahead and assessing risk is still immature in teenagers, which is why teens are more likely to participate in high-risk behavior like unprotected sex and drinking and driving. Interestingly, in a simulated driving experience, adults and teens took the same amount of driving risks while alone. However, when surrounded by an audience of friends, teens took significantly more risks while adults were unaffected. What's the benefit of this behavior? Peer acceptance. In a study where teens were asked to rank music clips with and without knowing what their peers had picked, their choices changed. Unlike small children and adults, feeling socially isolated as a teen creates feelings of intense unworthiness. This, along with our biology, can contribute to teens prioritizing friends over even family. As social animals, stepping outside the safety of our family creates genetically diverse populations, diminishing the likeliness of inbreeding. In fact, teens have heightened social abilities like processing and evaluating facial expressions better than other age groups, allowing teens to be extremely cognizant of friends' joy, sadness, or stress. Speaking of stress, the hormone released in stressful situations to help soothe the brain cells of children and adults has the opposite impact on teens, causing an increase in anxiety. Pair that with a change in circadian rhythms, making you want to wake up 3 to 4 hours later than adults. It's no wonder some people describe teens as emotionally moody. On the other hand, teens are very physically healthy. The immune system is highly functioning, teens have increased tolerance to temperature changes and a high resistance to cancer. But despite physical fitness, records show that death rates increase by 200 to 300% after childhood due to motor vehicle accidents, homicide, and suicide. Scientists believe that many changes in white matter, gray matter, and connections in the brain may be to blame, with an increased risk of errors during this time. But with a greater number of synaptic connections and increased plasticity, the teenage brain is primed to learn quickly and memorize content fast. Unlike an older brain rooted in what it knows, teens can respond easily to their environment and make incredible strides in communication and socialization. Not to mention, being passionate is incredibly valuable, and taking risks is often what is needed to make changes in your life and the lives of others. Being a teen can be tough, but it can also be amazing.
Yes, being teens is tough, but it's quite amazing. The language of adolescents. How do today's teenagers talk? Teen talk offers an exciting, thought-provoking, and engaging observation of the good, the bad, and the lovely aspects of youth language. Linguistic movers and shakers, or in the other hand, language and the adolescent peer group, reifying the notion of adolescent. That dialect, for instance, if we move away or if we disidentify with the locality, In addition to our native dialect, we may draw on pronunciations associated with other regions, countries, ethnic groups, or specific localities. And sometimes, even small groups develop their own special pronunciations. These linguistic resources are structured and not random. The first is vernacular. When we say vernacular, it has many uses and is somewhat controversial in social linguistics. In this chapter, it refers to language that is the most closely associated with locally based communities and a product of life in those communities. It exists in opposition to the standard, the language variety embraced by and required for use in globalizing institutions, financial, business, governmental, and educational institutions. The success and credibility of these institutions depends, on some extent, on their ability to appear to transcend the local, to serve the interests of the more general population. As a consequence, the language they endorse is devoid of obvious local or ethnic features. Standard language is a powerful tool of membership, or at least of commitment to gaining membership, in the halls and homes of global power. Vernaculars, by contrast, emphasize a local and regional difference and must be learned in the neighborhood, in locally based families and social networks. Consequently, they are tied up with local flavor and membership. The second one is labeling. Labeling is an important means of reducing and maintaining social distinctions, as the coining of a term for a social type creates a category and allows the category to enter into everyday discourse. Labels do not emerge abstractly, but arise in use and in relation to specific people in real situation, according to Bolcholtz, 2001, Exkert and McConnell-Ganey, 1995. It is in speech activities such as making observation and judgments about people, pointing people out to others, and describing absent people that speakers simultaneously exert social control in the process create categorizations by endowing labels with meaning. The last one is the slang. It is a term commonly used to refer to lexical innovation by the legitimized groups, among them adolescents, implying a qualitative difference from other kinds of lexical innovation. Although slang is commonly thought of in terms of individual words, it is generally also part of a style. This style may be sufficiently elaborated to be comprehensible only with the community that produces it. So, it categorizes descriptions of language characteristics. It categorizes in syntax and morphology, semantics, and pragmatics. Syntax and morphology. The length and syntactic complexity of oral sentences increases into early adulthood and stabilizes in middle age. Although there are differences across individual speakers and contexts, according to Nephold Hesketh in 2015. Expository monologues are especially challenging because they require production that taps a speaker's knowledge of the topic, according to the reference in 2007. When children, adolescents, and adults speak in an expository genre, they use greater syntactic complexity than speaking in conversations or relating narratives, according to the references here in 2005, 2008, to 2002. Syntax refers to the rules of word order, and word combination in order to form phrases and sentences. Solid syntactic skills require an understanding and use of correct verb, order, and organization in phrases and sentences, and also the ability to use increasingly complex sentences as language develops. The last will be the morphology. It refers to the structure and construction of words. Morphology skills require an understanding and use of the appropriate structure of a word, such as word roots, prefixes, and affixes, so we can call it morphemes. The second one is the semantics. Typical seniors experience some deficit, mostly with their accuracy and speed of word retrieval and naming, according to Owens in 2012. These deficits reflect accompanying deficits in working memory, and in turn affect ability to produce grammatically complex sentences, according to Kemper, Thompson, and Marquez, 2001. There does not seem to be loss in ability to produce simple sentences when words are provided, possibly because working memory is not taxed in this situation, according to the reference here in 2003. During adolescence, a number of changes occur in definitions, with the inclusion of category membership, the sharpening of core features of a word, and the addition of subtle aspect of meaning, according to different references here in 1999. Frequency of a word's use may be a relatively more important factor in development of definitions by teens and young adults for some types of words, such as adjectives, according to Marniel and Johnson in 2003. Their ability to define idioms increases with age as does familiarity with idioms, according to Jahn and Marniel in 2008. The last will be the pragmatics. Communication experiences of adults result in registers, which are style of speech not found in childhood. There is also a professional jargon, which is special type of communication that requires specific language skills adults use in the workplace. In general, adult narrative seems to improve steadily in terms of main themes and details into middle age and the early senior years, then display decreasing ability after the late 70s, according to references here in 2005. Those over 75 have less flexibility and ease with word retrieval. Adolescence is a developmental period in which social interactions become increasingly important. Successful social interactions rely heavily on pragmatic competence, the appropriate use of language in different social contexts, a skill that is still developing in adolescence. In the present study, we use fMRI to characterize the brain networks underlying pragmatic language processing in typically developing adolescents. So that's the end of my report. Thank you for listening. God bless everyone.